Hey, so if you're in the DevOps or SRE world, you've probably noticed something. There's this quiet exodus happening. Today, we're going to dig into why so many teams are ditching old-school alerting tools, specifically Opsgenie, and, more importantly, where they're actually going.
So let's just kick things off with a super simple question. Does your alerting tool feel like a chore? You know, like you're constantly fighting it, wrestling with it, just to get the most basic stuff done?
Yeah, if you're nodding along right now, trust me, you are not alone. What used to be this go-to trusted tool is now kind of at the epicenter of this massive shift in how we handle incidents.
All right, so let's get into the why. Why are teams really packing their bags and leaving? And let me tell you, it goes way deeper than just, I'm getting too many pages at 3 a.m.
You know, the real problem, the core issue, it boils down to this one idea: tool fatigue. It's that feeling, that deep exhaustion you get from constantly battling a clunky, outdated tool. It's when you realize you're spending more of your time building janky workarounds and custom scripts than, actually managing incidents. And let's get super specific about what this Opsgenie fatigue looks like in the wild. We're talking about integrations that are so brittle they feel like they break if you look at them wrong. We're talking about automation that's basically useless without a ton of custom scripts. And then there's the pricing, which is, let's be honest, super confusing unless you are completely all in on the Atlassian ecosystem. A lot of teams just inherited the tool, right? They never actually chose it. And it really feels like the focus has shifted over to just tying into Jira instead of making the core alerting better.
Okay, so if that's the problem, where is everyone going? Let's take a look at the top alternatives that people are jumping to right now. First on the list, and you've probably heard this name buzzing around, is Incident.io. Seriously, this one has a ton of momentum right now. It seems to be the darling of modern, fast-moving tech teams, the ones who value speed and simplicity above all else.
And when you look at the pros and cons, it's pretty easy to see why. The pros are huge. Smart alert grouping that actually cuts down on the noise, post-mortem tools that are built right in and are simple enough that your team will actually use them, and this modern Slack-first approach that just feels right. Now, on the flip side, yeah, it's not the cheapest tool out there. And some people say its workflows are a little opinionated. But you know what? For a lot of teams who are sick and tired of endless configuration options, that's a feature, not a bug. And honestly, you just can't argue with feedback like this. Listen to this. During Black Friday, we can't be debugging our alerting tools. Incident.io just works. I mean, that's it, right? That's the dream. Reliability when the stakes are highest.
All right, next up we have a really pragmatic choice for a whole bunch of teams: Datadog On-Call. And the logic here is super simple. If your team already lives and breathes inside Datadog for all your monitoring and observability, well, adding their On-Call tool is kind of becoming a no-brainer.
So the upside is pretty obvious, right? The integration is seamless, you get to consolidate your tech stack, which means fewer tools to juggle, and everyone has that shared context during an incident. But, and this is a big but, there's a major trade-off. It is expensive, and it pulls you even deeper into the Datadog vortex, creating this potential for vendor lock-in that can make it really painful to switch tools down the road. Okay, our third alternative, FireHydrant, is for a totally different kind of team. This one is a huge contender for larger organizations, the ones that are scaling fast and need some serious structure, process, and automation built into how they respond to incidents. So this is definitely not a plug-and-play solution. It offers these incredibly deep automation options and really powerful features for incident command, but it takes more effort to set up properly. This is the tool for teams who are ready to invest the time to build really mature, repeatable incident processes. Rootly is another name that we heard a lot, and it kind of plays in the same sandbox as Incident.io. It's another really strong player in that Slack native world, and its whole focus is on making the entire incident lifecycle, from that first alert all the way to the final postmortem, feel super smooth and totally integrated right where you're already working.
Where Rootly really shines, though, is in its super smart scheduling features. I mean, it's aware of your team's pay time off. It supports shadow rotations for bringing new on-call engineers up to speed, and it syncs your users right from Slack. Now, a few folks did mention that the notifications can get a little chatty, but overall it's seen as a really solid choice for any team that basically lives in Slack. And finally, there's always the option to just stay in the family, right? Jira Service Management Alerts. This is basically the path of least resistance for any team that is already super deep in the Atlassian world. And you can see the appeal. It's often bundled into licenses you're already paying for,
And migrating from Opsgenie is pretty straightforward. But let's be real here. Nobody is writing home about its amazing advanced features or its mobile app. This is the pragmatic, good enough for now choice. It gets the job done, but it's definitely not the innovative one.
Okay, so we've talked about the new kids on the block that are pulling people away from Opsgenie. But what about the 800-pound gorilla in the room? PagerDuty. Why isn't everyone just switching to them? Well, it's complicated.
PagerDuty is in such a weird position. On one hand, it has all those legacy strengths. It's mature, it's reliable, and literally everyone knows the name. But on the other hand, it's starting to face the exact same complaints people have about Opsgenie. Users are calling it expensive, bloated with a million features they never touch, and just slow to respond to what people actually want.
And this quote from a user it hits the nail on the head. They coast on the fact that everyone uses them. Ouch. There's this growing sense that their top spot in the market has kind of led to them just stagnating.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second and tie all of this together. When you look at all these different moves, people leaving Opsgenie, the hesitation around PagerDuty, what are the real, fundamental reasons for this big switch?
It really just comes down to these three things. First, that tool fatigue we keep talking about. Engineers are just so tired of fighting their tools. Second, pricing surprises. The cost of these legacy tools just feels like it's from a different decade. And third, and this is a big one, product stagnation. I mean, when you've been asking for a basic feature for years and you get nothing but silence, you're going to start looking for the exit.
And I think this quote just perfectly wraps up the whole entire conversation. At the end of the day, it's so simple. The tools should help, not hurt.
Which really just leaves us with one last question for you to think about for your own team. Take a really honest look at your tool stack and ask yourself, is your tooling actually helping you move faster and solve problems, or is it just holding you back?